Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? What's up, America? So I wanted to go over the draft opinion that was leaked from the Supreme Court, or the leaked draft opinion from the Supreme Court of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Center. Right now, it is just that. It's a draft opinion. The judges still have the ability to change their votes. The justices of the Supreme Court, they still have the ability to change their votes. What does this mean? If Roe versus Wade and Casey versus, I can't remember, are overturned, and the votes are in the affirmative, no matter what John Roberts says, whatever else, because there is enough votes to, overturn this without him. What it means is that your individual state will be the one to, will be able to set regulations for abortion and seeking an abortion, regulating those things. Now, the states are already they already have their own state level restrictions on these things, or guidelines on these things. What will happen is that I predict that some of these will become a little bit more substantive, a little bit more stringent. You already see that the state of Oklahoma has increased the restrictions on the amount of abortions, and what time frame you can get an abortion. We have to put abortion into perspective. Number one, it's a women's health issue. It's the right of a woman to choose whatever she wants to do with her body, right? The second thing is that a lot of people mischaracterize abortion, and they say that it's these young people, and they're all this frivolous and all this other stuff, that they're not exercising responsibility, and that could not be further from the truth. From the data that is out there from state agencies and from the Guttenheimer Institute, the women that seek abortions the most are existing mothers who either have a health condition, or they cannot afford another baby, or they're in an abusive situation, or they don't have the time or resources to dedicate to another child. Motherhood being a parent, period, is a very stressful and extensive thing. And as society has progressed, it has only become more stressful. And if you are a mom, you never know what that mother went through in her previous pregnancy that would make her not want to have another child, especially if you have if you're in an abusive relationship, or you already cannot receive financial assistance, because in many states, if you go out and get a job, you end up receiving less in state assistance than you would with a job, etc. And so, for a lot of individuals, abortion is their only answer. Now, why has the number of abortions gone down, etc., since the 21st century? And now that we've went over who is most likely to get it, the number of abortions have gone down in the 21st century because of the expanded access to alternatives such as birth control. And quite frankly, I can't wait till there's a male birth control, because I might try it. But until then, there are alternatives, and people are practicing different sexual practices in which they're taking more caution, or they're taking more preventative measures as to not become pregnant or get someone pregnant. And so that's why the number of abortions have gone down. And that's from the Guttenheimer Institute. What I am cautious of as a American who happens to be black, American freedman is like what I like to say, is what I classify myself as, because that's a legal terminology for black descendants of slaves, American freedmen. Is that what I would like to be cautious of, is that as we get closer and closer to the general election, and now that this abortion thing has leaked out, abortion ruling has leaked out, there's going to be an onslaught against black women, black people particularly, but especially black women, that says, hey, we're all in this together. We're the sister girl routine that the Democrats like to play against the black community. When leading up to this election, the Democrats have done nothing of substantial value for the black community and black women particularly. The black maternal health crisis has been widely publicized since at least 2019 to 2020, okay? When they tried to gin up black women's support for the 2020 election. Black women are the ones that turned out in droves to vote for Biden. And they were the ones that said, okay, we're going to fight for democracy, whatever else. And there was some news media out there about black women save democracy, etc., because black women came out and voted, right? But they got nothing in return for their votes, okay? Okay, a Supreme Court justice that looks like them means nothing if that justice will not vote on the issues in favor of the black community in particular. Why? Because black women are among the lowest paid in our country. They're among the lowest protected in our country from civil rights and hate crimes, from different financial crimes that are happening against them. When you talk about the 2008 financial crisis, there were big companies who were purposely targeting particularly low education and black individuals with adjustable rate mortgages, and that was proven in court against big companies such as Wells Fargo. Baltimore City, which happens to be a majority black and majority female city, took Wells Fargo to court, and I think it was Bank of America as well, to court to prove that, and that was proven in a court of law. And so, going back to the topic, is that there's no bill on reparations, there's no bill on reparative justice for the black community to help black individuals with reaching financial parity with other communities. Because when you solve the wealth gap, particularly among the racialized wealth gap, then you can solve all the other inequities that are out there, the access to healthcare, the access to education. And as individuals, let's stick to the education thing for a second. When you solve for education, you have more people, black people are getting more degrees, at a faster rate and higher rate than almost ever before in our history. But our wealth has only widened. Now people will say, oh, well, that's because the student crisis. Well, even when student loan crisis, but even when you control for that, black people are still not making as much as other individuals. And this is not a hit or a chide towards those other individuals. It's just stating the fact of the matter. And so, as we move forward towards the 2022 election, we're going to start to see a more onslaught against black women in the media, saying, hey, this is why you need to come out. But there's no action for the items that black women have put forward, particularly the George Floyd policing act, or the Republican proposal, which was the Justice Act, which would have provided some greater controls on things and provided for a fair system. No, there was no action on that. And it was the Democrats who walked away from the table on that. The voting rights thing, there are a lot of individuals who are disenfranchised right now. And it was because of, I hate to use the term systemic oppression, but there's no other way to classify it. They have lost their right to vote. And it has happened in a lot of these states where I got, for whatever reason, they're targeting certain populations. Now, that being said, the voting rights didn't get passed. The crime bill didn't get passed. None of that would have really protected us anyway without changing the economic situation, the financial situation for black people. Not many of the other gaps are fixed. And let me tell you how easy it is. $31 billion was given to Ukraine. Nancy Pelosi, Gregory Meeks, Adam Schiff, they went over there to Ukraine, met in Kiev with the President Zelensky of Ukraine. And they said, we're committed to helping you. Nancy Pelosi is a representative of the United States government. She's she would be third in the secession, actually second in secession. Okay, after Kamala, then it's the Speaker of the House. Okay, and there's a Vice President, Speaker of the House. So yeah, I mean, let's just think about this, guys. If you can come up with $31 billion and send it over there to another country, what about the people in this country who need the help? Who need the help? You have black people who are about to lose their homes at a greater rate. The Baltimore City tax sale just got postponed in order to help save some of these black folks in their homes. Okay? And let me just tell you something. There's about to be a tsunami of foreclosures and people losing their homes because COVID allowed a lot of things to be exposed. And the banks put a lot of these payments, they allowed you to defer your loans, and people lost their jobs. And as a result of that, a lot of people who owned their homes for 30 years, they have paid off their homes, are about to lose them. That is their only source of wealth, is the equity that they have built up in their homes, and maybe a pension that is not really adjusting with the rate of inflation. Thank you, Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. And I just don't... So if we get back to the issue, the main issue of why I started this video is that, first and foremost, the government should not have a major regulation on, will put substantial restrictions on abortion. The number of abortions have been going down as alternatives have been created. Second, we need to start doing something about the black wealth gap, and black men, we need to stand up for our black women, particularly when it comes to the onslaught that's about to come up in these elections and in the media. Folks, we got to protect our minds at large, particularly as we look at media and social media and everything else. There are different ways to get to our mind, okay? And you know, what you take in through your news feed, etc., can control your mood and your actions and everything else. Black folks, we got to start being, and everybody really, we have to, you know, kind of protect what we decide to intake, because coming forward towards this 2022 election, things are going to get really divisive. In the 2020 election, I lost a lot of family members on Facebook, and some in real life that will not talk to me anymore based on the fact that I said I'm not voting for the two major candidates. And, actually, no, I lost them because I said one candidate was better than the other, and it wasn't one that most black people went for. The second thing was that I said, okay, well, we need someone who's going to talk to black wealth. And if you're not talking to that, then I don't have no use for you. There's no value in me wasting my vote with you. And ultimately, that has been proven to be correct. And so, black folks, America, everyone, you know, just keep your heads up and have a good day.